This demonstration is a flagrant violation of the commitment of Sweden under the Trilateral Memorandum regarding the prevention of the propaganda of terrorist organizations. Declaring to be bound by the commitments under the Trilateral Memorandum and delivering on them are two different matters.
The statement comes in response to the latest protest where Rasmus Paludan, an infamous far-right politician, set fire to the Koran holy book near the Turkish embassy in Sweden, just 1 year after his other Koran-burning rally sparked riots across the country. His official police-issued permit states that his protest was held against Islam and against Turkey's attempt to influence freedom of expression in Sweden. Not surprisingly, the fire ignited waves of negative reactions across the Muslim world.
Saudi Arabia calls for spreading the values of dialogue, tolerance, and coexistence, and rejects hatred and extremism.
This senseless and provocative Islamophobic act hurts the religious sensitivities of over 1.5 billion Muslims worldwide.
The incident hurts Muslim sentiments across the world and marks serious provocation.
In response, Swedish authorities resorted to the usual: virtuous words and no action.
Freedom of expression is a fundamental part of democracy, but what is legal is not necessarily appropriate. Burning books that are holy to many is a deeply disrespectful act. I want to express my sympathy for all Muslims who are offended by what has happened in Stockholm today.
Freedom of expression is part of democracy. Fair enough, but incitement of hatred or violence towards a particular group is criminalized in Sweden. Nevertheless, Swedish police approved the permit, and it's not like they didn't know what would be going on there. A day prior, Turkey cancelled a planned visit by the Swedish Defense Ministry to Ankara and summoned Sweden's ambassador over the failure to restrict the protest. It was the second time in just a month when Sweden's ambassador has had to answer to Turkish authorities. 2 weeks ago, it was related to a stunt during which a Kurdish group hung a mannequin of Turkey's president in Stockholm. On the same day as the Koran-burning protests, hundreds of activists marched through the Swedish capital in support of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, also known as PKK. And even though the group is considered a terrorist organization in the European Union, its supporters protested legally with an official permit.
We often watch the PKK's demonstrations on these streets and in Stockholm and warn about them. The presidents of the parliaments were going to pay us a visit, and our Speaker of the Assembly rejected that visit.
All this is happening at a time when a Nordic country desperately needs Turkey's vote to be able to join NATO, as Turkey is the only alliance member still holding back its ratification. Turkey demands that Sweden clamp down on who it sees as terrorists and has also submitted an extradition request for those in Sweden with links to the PKK. In June 2022, Finland, Sweden and Turkey signed a trilateral deal guaranteeing that Turkey's demand would be addressed in return for lifting its veto. But that hasn't happened yet. Now, once again, the West's trustworthiness is being tested.